Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia and today I am quite late to the punch, I think, but we are going to be reading and reviewing Brandon Sanderson's Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. This is Secret Project number 3. And before we get into all that, I thought I would show you around this book just because I think probably most of the editions that you've seen online are likely the Dragon Steel Publishing edition, and this is just like the mass market hardback, so I thought I would give you a quick tour. So you have, of course, a really nice cover design. This is a bit of a different style from the other two, which is interesting to see. And then of course it sort of continues around onto the back. And then if I take off the dust jacket, the cover is just plain black, but then we have the title in like a foiled pink, which is fun. And then inside the dust jacket we have special end papers, and then following that we have some nice art, and then we are just getting onto like the normal like title page kind of things, but I'm pretty sure we also have an end paper on the back. Yeah, we have like a Yumi artwork on the back for the end paper. And then just like throughout the book, it's pretty standard, but for chapter headings we have a special chapter heading for Yumi, and then we also have special chapter heading for Painter. And I think that is really all that is special about this book. It's a little bit of a shame that the inside hardback is just plain, but when you have like the mass market sort of hardbacks, I think that's kind of what you usually get. So we have a little bit of fun on the spine. So it actually like would be nice to display without the dust jacket if you were just going to display the spine, because that's really pretty. But otherwise, yeah, this is really nice art, so I'm going to keep it on. But yeah, I think that is really all that I have to show you about this book. I've tried to keep the premise of the story pretty unknown to myself, like I have done with the rest of the secret projects. So at the moment, I don't really have anything to say about what this is going to be about. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it and find out together. So it is a while later. In my earlier reading session, I read 50 pages of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I am just now at part 2. And initial impressions so far, it seems pretty decent. I'm not like super wowed by it yet, but I am really enjoying like the world building. Both of like, it's kind of like 2 different worlds in this book. Like they're each on like their own like planet, I guess. And they feel so like unique and interesting and very rich, and so I'm really enjoying that. And then in terms of like the characters, I like how they both they feel like well-rounded in terms of like they seem to have some strengths, but they also feel very like human, and they have their like internal kind of like, I don't know if I want to call it debates, but sort of, I guess, kind of, and like their own little like flaws that, like, while we haven't spent a lot of time with them, they both feel quite human, which is nice. So I'm going to do a bit more reading now, see how much further I can get in this tonight, and I will update you when I have an update, I guess. All right, so I am now on part 3. I just read a few pages in this morning with my breakfast. Let's see, how far in did I get? Okay, I'm now page 155, which is only a few pages into part 3. Gemma wants to be involved. And in terms of like an update, I'm still enjoying it. It's like Yumi and the painter are kind of being like yanked back and forth between their two worlds, and they're each like definitely more invested in like the problems that are happening in their own world, but they're having to like learn how to work together to sort of each deal with the problem in their world, because they are hoping to obviously like stop being yanked into like each other's bodies and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's still good. I don't know, like the characters are really interesting and the worlds are really interesting. I'm just like waiting to see what like the like bigger picture is, because I'm assuming that like there's a bigger problem beyond like the small individual problems in each of their worlds, because otherwise it like wouldn't make sense for them to get yoinked back and forth. But yeah, so I'm interested to see sort of what like the bigger picture is. So I'm gonna keep reading. Alright, it is now like 9:15 or so. I have been to work, come home, Gemma has joined me again, and I have about 15 pages remaining of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, and things have definitely heated up quite a bit. I am really enjoying it now. Mimi is just behind the camera sniffing out my popcorn. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and read the last few pages now, and then I will probably reconvene tomorrow once I've had some time to think about it and let you know my final thoughts. Okay, so I just finished this, and like I said, I'm not going to give you all my thoughts now because I want to think about my thoughts more, but I do think the ending was good. It like made you think it was going to end one way, and then it hit you up with a little twist, so that was fun. But yeah, as I said, I will come back tomorrow and give you my final thoughts on this book. Alright, so I have now had some time to think about Yumi and the Nightmare Painter and put together my thoughts. So let's go ahead and have a little bit of a discussion about what I thought about the book. So as I have probably already said in this video, this is Secret Project number 3, and although I tried to avoid seeing other people's reviews before it, I did hear that it was quite highly rated and that a lot of people said it was their favorite Secret Project. Personally, I think I prefer Tress, but Yumi and the Nightmare Painter was a very good book still, even though it is not specifically my favorite of the 3 so far. But like Tress, the world building in this book is very interesting, and unique. I definitely have not read anything with like a similar sort of world building. So like we have Painter's World where nightmares can be painted to defeat them. And then in Yumi's world, the concept of like stacking stones according to mathematical sequences as art to attract spirits. So those are both definitely very unique concepts that I haven't really seen anything like along the veins of before, which I really appreciate in a book. So this book is actually also part of the Cosmere, which is Sanderson's like greater world, composing like a whole bunch of his books. I don't think everything, but like a lot of his books are in like his Cosmere sort of greater universe. You definitely don't have to have read anything else to read this one. Again, like Tress is also a part of the Cosmere, but it's like a standalone within it, so you don't have to have read anything else to read Yumi, which is my experience of it, because I haven't read any Sanderson outside of the Secret Projects. So, and I totally got the story, like you don't need to know anything else. So if you're worried about that, you don't have to be. You can go into this totally as its own thing without feeling like you're missing anything. It's actually told from the same POV as like the same being that tells the story of Tress. So it has a really similar kind of like lighthearted, almost like sarcastic feel with like the little asides and stuff. So if you liked the tone of Tress, you'll probably like the tone of this one as well. I personally think that the tone was almost better done in this one, but it could also be just because like I'm kind of familiar with it from Tress, so make of that what you will, I suppose. Like I said, I haven't read any Sanderson outside of the Secret Projects, but I have to say, like, from the Secret Projects alone, I'm definitely very impressed by how he seems to have this really creative and interesting, like, unique elements that set his books apart. And I really appreciate how Yumi and the other Secret Projects are standalones, because, you know, so often in fantasy, we get bogged down into like giant series like Wheel of Time and all these things. And sometimes it's just so nice to sit down and read a fantasy book without having to commit to another really long, complex series. And I don't always have the mental energy to start another series and store all of those world details and character details and plot details in my mind. So it's just like a breath of fresh air to have shorter books like this that you can just read on their own. I also really liked how the characters were written in this book. Like our main characters are the heroes without being like the flawless hero, you know? And then I also kind of think like in our sort of modern fantasy, there's been a lot more demand and then also supply for like not perfect main characters, and we've had like a rise of like the morally gray character. But I do also feel like a lot of the time, okay, maybe not a lot of the time, but sometimes that gets taken too far to like the extreme, where the main character ends up just being kind of like evil, and then they're unlikable because they're just not good people. So it's like there is like you can connect with main characters that are kind of not good people, but there's a difference between like not the best person and like someone who's like straight up evil. And sometimes I feel like characters lean towards that too much, and then it just becomes unenjoyable to read. But in Yumi, I felt like the main characters were just like normal, flawed people who were kind of trying to do their best with the hand that was given to them. I will say Painter did get a little bit annoying sometimes because he's just kind of very like, woe is me, and that's a little bit frustrating at times when you're just like, oh my god, pull yourself together, man. Like the pessimism just kind of gets old quick in a book. But I did really like Yumi. She is a strong female character without being like a stereotypical strong female character where she has to be strong above being female, you know? Like I feel like Yumi is well balanced in that regard, which I really enjoyed. And I really liked her internal struggle, because while we, like most people, have definitely probably not been in a situation like hers, I mean, like, not the whole, like, okay, I don't want to give spoilers, so I will skip over what I was going to say there. But I think we can all relate, at least on some degree, to the pressure of, like, you get something or you're in a position where everybody's like, oh, this thing is like really great and you should be really like grateful that you have this thing, but On the other hand, this is not what you would have chosen for yourself, but you don't want to appear ungrateful for getting this thing that everyone else is like, this is great, and you should be like so happy that you are this thing, got this thing, or doing this thing, but you're just like, this isn't what I wanted for my life. So I felt that was a really interesting part of her character. And then the writing style of this book, sort of like all of Sanderson that I've read so far and that I've heard about, is kind of the general vibe is quite digestible, so pretty easy to read. The world is very unique, but the world building isn't like super complex, you know? It's pretty easy to understand without being like really taxing, I guess I could say. I don't think it's like actually classed as YA, but younger people could definitely read this. It's not super complex, as I was saying, and it doesn't deal with like super graphic imagery or adult themes. So if you are younger, or if you are thinking of getting a book for a slightly younger person, maybe for Christmas that's coming up, this would definitely be appropriate. There's not like spicy stuff or like gory stuff, so that's something to note for those of you who either don't like that or are young. But yeah, overall it is a very enjoyable read. A bit shy of 5 stars for me. I'm gonna go with 4.5 stars for this, just because it didn't like stick with me as much as I would want a 5-star book to, and it didn't quite have that, like, I don't know, something about it was just a little bit shy of that 5-star for me. Although I do think that a lot of people would read it and give it 5 stars, and I would understand where they were coming from. But yeah, that is everything that I have time for today. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, and see you next time.